It's 2200 hours here, and we're live from the News Hub at Adesanwe in Accra. My name is Solis Rose Porter. Welcome to News at 10. Now let's start off with the major news highlights for the day. A suspect in the April 30 robbery at Plat and Plume Gold Refinery Company Limited at Bogoso in the Western region has died. The deceased, known as Nathaniel Ibu, a Nigerian, fled in a car from a team of police officers after police tip-off revealed his hideout at the Achimota bus terminal. Also, the Ghana Police Service has completed investigations into the alleged sexual misconduct against some of its peacekeeping personnel in South Sudan. But Director General of Police Intelligence and Professional Standards Bureau, COP Nathan Kofi Boache, says the report can only be made public after it has been reconciled with that of the United Nations. Leadership of a Zongo youth group in Kumasi says it will petition the Ashanti and Regional Police Commander over the death of Halidu Lawak. The youth alleged that the deceased was unjustifiably killed by Operation Calm Life team at Ohenga Manfrom when he went to inspect a parcel of land he bought. And the Ghana Center for Democratic Development has lauded the decision by the African Union to declare 2018 as African Anti-Corruption Year. In a statement to commemorate Africa Day, CDD Ghana iterated that concrete steps must be taken by member countries to tackle corruption, which cost African countries $148 billion annually. Right, many thanks for staying with us. Let's do our first story, and we're talking about issues regarding the AU, where international relations expert Professor Vladimir Intrindanso has expressed concern about the impact of membership of multiple sub-regional economic blocs on Africa's integration agenda. Now, Prof. Intrindanso expressed worry that 67% of AU's budget, which comes from foreign sources, limits her ability to fight for its rights. Now, he spoke with my colleague Natalie Ford.
African unity. What does that mean to you as an international relations expert?
Well, it means a lot. It means that we're still continuing the journey from Pan-Africanism, and the desire to have Africa as one is still on. The flame has not died. And so when I hear of African unity, I believe in what our forefathers started. There are several hiccups. When I hear of AU, what comes to mind is not the journey as a bad journey, but what comes to mind are the hiccups that is making the journey tortuous and very difficult trajectory to move. So the AU, for me, is a positive thing. We need to hang on to it. We need to perfect it. We need to strive hard and move away the hurdles gradually so that we reach where our founding fathers wanted us to be.
Certainly, you talk about our founding fathers and the dream of unification.
Yes.
Do you think we're anywhere near that goal?
It's difficult. Plus? You know, we started as a political kind of, or we started off with the thinking that politically we could unite. Then we came to the reality, the realization that there is a reality. Integration is no longer that kind of political wishes. It has its own logic. And integration in the form that Nkrumah wanted, if you got independence, you joined. If you got independence, you joined, and it will be one at the end. It was no longer feasible What was feasible was rather a kind of regional economic integration. And could you lump all the 47 sub-Saharan African countries together, or the 54 total African countries together, and say we are getting united? It's difficult because integration is trade-induced. As trade-induced as it is, it means creating the conditions for the lowering of barriers to trade and shoring up those things that will make trade work. Infrastructure, institutions, that's supranational institutions, and getting one currency, and that's the logic is there. You can't bypass that logic. The moment you try to bypass that logic, you run yourself into many problems, and that is what the AU is facing now. How does Egypt trade with South Africa? How does Egypt trade with Botswana? And you are lumping all of them together in one FTA. That is the basic problem. The second basic problem of AU not meeting its targets is the question of funding. 67% of AU funding comes from the EU. He who pays the piper calls the tune. And we are really under a problem there. The third basic problem, which is also very devastating, is what we call security communities. Once you are building integration, you have to turn it into a security community. NATO is the backbone of the EU. You are making some trouble for EU. NATO will come in to stop that kind of.
Yes.
Do we have that in Africa? So already in ECOWAS, how many security problems we have had in terms of intrastate fighting in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, and these kind of hotspots in Africa is also problematic for the AU. So we will be spending more money on security rather than nation building and economic building.
Now, a cross-section of the public has expressed varied opinions about the relevance of the African Union as well as its impact. Take a listen.
Founded in 1963, it was initially known as the Organization of African Unity, now referred to as the African Union. The Union is mandated to, among others, accelerate the political and social-economic development of the continent. But how effectively has the mandate of the Union been communicated to the youth of Africa?
Unity is really a challenge in Africa, and if we work on it, I believe we can make the AU more effective. I believe indoctrination is a very important step to do that. If the leaders, present-day leaders, decide, okay, we want unity, so the best place to start from will be from the younger ones. You know, they start in the schools, they create curriculums that actually put African in the focus and not just maybe their native homeland.
I don't see anything that is happening, or anything special that is happening, because actually in Africa we need more than unity and stuff. We need love. So I do think that if Africa cultivate that kind of love, we can go even to one currency, we can go to even one cloth a day. I don't know, we can go extra, more than what we think. It's all based on love.
Well, to be honest, I'm not very conversant with what they do, what is the AU does. I suppose if it's activity relied on people knowing about it, I would say they are not doing a very good job. I do not know of any medium that exists to interest people in the AU, the youth, the university, about the AU as of now. I don't know. I knew it was a holiday, but I didn't even really know it was AU Day, because it's not something that is carried across to the youth.
As part of measures to increase the volume of intra-African trade, the Union evolved a continental free trade area, while some regional blocs are working towards the attainment of a single currency. Are African youth confident that these objectives are achievable?
I think it's attainable if they do more groundwork into it, and getting the professors here in the economics department and in other universities across ECOWAS to really see how feasible it is. And also, really, because the French African countries use their own CFA franc, realistically, they have their own currency, and we need to understand if they're ready to give that up to have more economic independence within an African context.
It will take quite a very long time to achieve something like this, because one, they will take into consideration the currency which is supposed to be used worldwide. Some countries will not agree to it, and there will be a whole lot of problems, and eventually I'm thinking eventually they'll just let it go.
No, I don't think it's possible. Most countries may not agree to the currency because maybe may be devalued. Some other countries may just like their own currency like that. For me, I think Nigerian currency is actually okay. Naira is okay.
In spite of this, the AU and its sub-regional organizations have developed significant institutional capacity over the past decade to undertake early warning analysis and conflict prevention. The Commission has also continued to provide technical assistance to member states in the establishment and strengthening of national infrastructure for peace.
Now, away from that, Executive Secretary of the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values, Moses Fuamwening, is warning the coalition may compel Parliament to pass a law against the practice of homosexuality in Ghana. At a media consultative forum in Accra, he said the coalition will oppose any political party that does not make its position clear on the practice of homosexuality. A report by Godfred Tanam.
The latest group to condemn the attempts by the West to impose homosexuality on Ghana was the Parliament of Ghana, whose members said they will resist any move to legalize the practice. This came after the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, indicated he will resign if any bill to legalize the practice is presented to Parliament. There have also been calls for the President to make a clear declaration on his position on the practice, since his comment that it is bound to happen did not go down well with many Ghanaians. Moses Fuamwening at the Media Consultative Forum in Accra said the coalition will put pressure on political parties to make their position known.
To hold our leaders accountable. You can't come to power telling us that the battle is a lot. Then you come to power, you say it is bound to happen.
He said the coalition is going out strongly to get the anti-gay message down to every person on the street.
We know them, we know about, but we were waiting for the right time. We will go at a pace, they will be shocked. If I saw them there, they don't know what is happening when they saw me there. I said, you wait and see, you will shock them, but you will shiver. They will pass the law before they themselves can say jack. They will pass it. It will be a certificate of agency. If they like, they shouldn't pass it, and they will see.
A member of the coalition, Reverend Dr. Justice Apia Kubi, on his part said the attempt by the West to impose homosexuality on Africa is a population control mechanism anticipating the threat of the African population on the world.
A population control strategy. If you can get 1 million men into gayism, that is 2 million men out of reproduction, correct? If you can get 1 million lesbians into lesbianism, that's 2 million women out of reproduction. So that is the strategy. And they are working tirelessly to push this thing down into this continent to try and arrest our population growth.
The Chief Executive Office of the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Kwesi Osei, debunked the scientific knowledge that homosexual tendencies are inborn.
There is absolutely no scientific basis. Yes, there is a biological basis for someone to be gays, but that is a biological basis for them to be abnormal with respect to their sexual orientation.
The National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values is a combination of Christian and para-Christian bodies, Muslims, as well as like-minded religious and non-religious entities.
Well, NewsA10 returns shortly after this. Do stay. Welcome back, and let's do some other stories. A suspect in the April 30 robbery at Platinum Plume Gold Refinery Company Limited at Bogoso in the Western region has died. The deceased, known as Nathaniel Ibo, a Nigerian, fled in a car from a team of police officers after a police tip-off revealed his hideout at the Achimota bus terminal. At the Okponglo traffic light, the suspect's vehicle collided with a Range Rover, after which he was apprehended by police. He died whilst being rushed to the police hospital for treatment. A handgun with 30 rounds of ammunition was retrieved from the deceased. Meanwhile, the police have arrested one more suspect connected to the killing of a police officer on escort duty at Bogoso in the Western region. All right, let's move to Sudan, where the Ghana Police Service has completed investigations into the alleged sexual misconduct against some of its peacekeeping personnel in South Sudan. But Director General of Police Intelligence and Professional Standards Bureau, COP Nathan Kofi Boachi, says the report can only be made public after it has been reconciled with that of the United Nations.
In February this year, the United Nations mission in South Sudan recalled a group of Ghanaian police peacekeepers from one of its protection camps over allegation of sexual misconduct. This is a clear breach of the UN and the UN mission's code of conduct, which prohibits sexual relationships with vulnerable individuals, including all beneficiaries of assistance. The 46-member unit was recalled to the capital, Juba, from its civilian protection site in Wau, northwest of Juba. The United Nations mission then commenced investigations into the allegations. The police administration petitioned the United Nations mission in South Sudan to be allowed to also conduct parallel investigations into the allegations. It's been 3 months already, so how far has the police gone with its independent investigations?
The Inspector General of Police sent high-powered delegation to South Sudan. They completed their investigations, but the police is awaiting the investigation from UN because they have to compare notes on the various investigations in order to have a complete and comprehensive report for you. After that is done, I know the Inspector General of Police will not hesitate to inform you of the results. But meanwhile, the policemen are still in South Sudan.
South Sudan won independence from Sudan in 2011, but descended into civil war in 2013 after President Salva Kiir fired his deputy Riek Machar. Tens of thousands of people have been killed, and a third of the population have fled their homes. The United Nations has 6 civilian protection sites across the country, housing some 204,501 people. UNMISS comprises of over 17,000 peacekeeping personnel, including 13,000 soldiers and 1,500 police officers.
Now, leadership of a Zongo youth group in Kumasi says it will petition the Ashanti Regional and the Regional Police Command over the death of Halidu Lawak. The youth alleged that the deceased was unjustifiably killed by Operation Calm Life team at Ohima Manfrom when he went to inspect a parcel of land he bought.
The youth say the police has, since the unfortunate incident, failed to give reason for the alleged shooting of the 26-year-old without provocation. The aggrieved youth, numbering about 60, besieged the Kumasi Central Mosque Friday morning to inform the Muslim leaders of the unfortunate incident. According to the youth, the deceased would be buried only if justice is served.
We want the justice. We want the president to know that no, justice is not working. Somebody will not be killed without showing a gun or without holding a gun, even in America.
President of the Zongo Youth Association, Seydou Kusho, pleaded for calm and urged the youth not to flout the law. He added that the leadership of the Zongo community will petition key opinion leaders in the Ashanti region and may resort to the court.
Ghana is not a lawless country. We have a law. And first, even the police, they have to respect the law.
Meanwhile, the police is yet to officially comment on the matter.
The Ghana Police Service is yet to identify suspects who assaulted Joy News reporter Latifi Drisu in April this year at the police CID headquarters. Latifi Drisu was part of journalists who reported the arrest and detention of Deputy General Secretary of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, Koko Anidoho, following alleged treasonable comments.
And then we have regional commanders.
Director General of Police Intelligence and Professional Standards Bureau, COP Nathan Kofi Boachi, reiterated challenges which have emerged in the course of investigations.
The journalist himself could not identify the people, even if we assembled them. And all those around could not identify the culprits because it was dark and in an alley. So we are still trying to identify the policeman.
Would the victim's inability to identify suspects abruptly end the case?
if the person assaulted cannot identify them, then it behoves us to use other means to identify the policemen, which we are earnestly doing. The assurance is that if through our CCTV and other things we are able to identify the policemen, then the law will take its course.
COP Kofi Boache provided updates about progress of investigations into reported cases.
So for Latif, we are all concerned, we work with you, and we'll do everything possible to solve this particular problem in order to maintain the cordial relationship between we and the press. The Akuse one, the case is in court, and the Tumu one is still under investigation because, you know, it happened not long ago.
Let's now take a look at how Media General's cartoonist Tilapia captured the major happenings of the week. Well, you can definitely trust Tilapia to shed some humorous light even on the most serious of issues. And that's it for News at 10. Don't forget, for more news updates, do visit our website 3news.com. My name is Solis Rose Corte. Good night.